From the glow of St. Paul's number 1, welcome to another edition of Cabin Country. Give us the time and we'll take you out of the traffic and away from the levee. Let's find the place where the loons call out among the moonlit waves, where the wind sighs among the Norway pines. Pull up a dock chair, have a sip of your coffee, and get a line in the water. This is Cabin Country. Now here's Bjorn Lloydstead, and I'm Fud Klugman with another woodland escape.
All right, welcome back to another episode here of the Cabin Country Podcast. I remain Bjorn Lloydstead, and of course I'm joined by Fud Klugman.
Hey there.
Hey Fud, it's good to be back with summer here and the humidity raging back in, letting us know it's summer in Cabin Country.
That's right.
Requisite rainfall that comes along with it from time to time clears it out. And, well, we had a fairly busy week last week, Fud. Perhaps you could tell us and our listeners about.
Yes, we did. It was the June trip up to the Gull River, the first weekend of June, which, of course, is also the annual Donovan Bassmaster Classic.
Syncs right up with the Bassmaster.
We got to leave nice and early on a Friday and head up in relatively light traffic.
True.
And enjoy our few days up at the Gull River. We also brought a new member of the Cabin Country podcast.
Third wheel, if you will.
Spotty.
Spotty the safety frog.
Yes, indeed.
Came along.
Perhaps some of you have seen the video, the winter safety video
right.
that he put out.
Gun safety.
Worked hard there. He's concerned for everybody not getting hypothermia. So that's... I think before we get into the trip, though, we've reached the stage, even though comparatively speaking in the podcast world, 20 episodes isn't a lot for being at it for 2 years now. But, there's a lot of factors. It takes time to get going. And
quality, not quantity.
That's right. We're all about quality here. Right, Don?
That's right.
Don's all about quality.
That's right. Don nodded. That's great.
But
thumbs up from Don.
We wanted to take a little extra effort to actually trying to reach out a little more. I mean, most podcasters are saying, "Hey, be sure to subscribe and tell us how you like the show." And
absolutely.
Bjorn and I have always chosen to remain a little silent on that. But no, I think it's time.
It's high time.
We have a way that you can contact us, an email, which is cabincountrypod@gmail.com. It's also important to leave reviews on iTunes. It's helpful, of course, knowing that people are liking what you're doing to kind of inspire you and
redirection, perhaps.
Keep you going. And Don's kind of showed me the number of listeners out there and so forth. And there's more than 4. I thought it was maybe just my cousin or two. And
sure.
But no, we've got a few out there. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
For your support. And so what we're going to do here. For those of you who are interested in writing a review, I've got 10 Cabin Country coffee mugs. When I was looking online to order some, because I thought it was time to start merching.
Absolutely.
And I found a company that makes them. They didn't have a limit like, well, if you order 800, we'll give them to you for $10 a piece. Anything less than that, we're going to have to charge $17.
So I didn't have to take out a second mortgage on the house so that we could have coffee mugs. But
what's kind of cool is that this company is actually located in England.
Wow.
That's just the way it came
Welsh
out.
pottery. English pottery from Wales.
So anybody who cares to write a review and then email us at cabincountrypod at gmail.com. Wait a minute. Say that again, Bjorn.
One more time, Bud.
cabincountrypod@gmail.com.
There we go.
And then, let us know that, we wrote a review. Where's my mug? We'll send you one.
First 10.
The first 10, right. I better put a limit on that. Otherwise, we will be going broke, maybe. I'm not sure. But anyway, let's get back to our weekend trip. I did some prepping for it myself. Last year at this time, Bjorn had some luck in a bay that we found that the bass were sort of leaping at Bjorn's
unbelievable.
His frog arbogast jitterbug, and unfortunately he lost it. I think we've mentioned that.
I did. It was a heartbreaker. I mean,
snapped the line and
inside of 5 minutes. We landed one that was, I think you estimated it at about a 2-pound bass, a good eater.
Mm-hmm. It was delicious.
And right along the edge of that bay, and lots of logs and lily pads, and we just kept throwing, and 5 minutes hadn't gone by, and all of a sudden I was right back in action. And I was throwing out there, as Fud mentioned, a kind of a vintage, 1950s, 1960s Arbogast frog jitterbug. And I remember seeing what appeared to me to be a much larger bass coming right up. I managed, it put up a good fight. I got it up to the edge of the boat, and the rod doubled over again, and all of a sudden, boom, and it just snapped back to attention.
Yes.
And I thought, oh no. And sure enough, and within seconds, that bass was up and out of the water, shaking its head for all it was worth, trying to get rid of my frog, Arbogast jitterbug, which was firmly stuck in its lip.
Yes.
And I thought, that was my plan this year, Fud, was I'm getting the lure back.
Right.
I'm going to catch that thing again. I have no idea what the shape of the hooks will be by this point, but I want that back.
Yes.
Sad but true.
Hopefully the bass didn't suffer too much with a pierced lip.
But that bass did elude us, as did most of the bass in the Gull River, sadly.
Yeah. We were kind of unlucky, but Spotty, we got a picture of Spotty holding his bass, don't we?
That's right. Proud eating size bass, about a 2-pound.
Let's ask Spotty. Spotty, how did what did you use to catch that? Did you get that, Bjorn?
I couldn't quite make sense of what Spotty's got a unique dialect that can be a little hard for
He's awfully cute, but swear, I mean, you should learn to say excuse me.
Right. It just sounds a little.
But I had my own Arbogast. Well, no, excuse me, I take that back. Let's mention Yogi.
Yes.
Going back to that episode in which we dug through Yogi's tackle box from his childhood in the 50s and 60s, and
amidst the mold,
we found kind of a split-bodied Arbogast jitterbug frog color, and I thought, well, I'm gonna be like Bjorn last year, because I didn't have one. We got Bjorn a new one for his birthday.
Yeah.
At least he didn't lose the new one. That's good, Bjorn. No. But anyways, I dug that one out of Yogi's box, and if you remember, if any of those you remember the show, we had the tip from Steve O'Hearn, that great collector of old lures and all that kind of
prices them
hunting,
out for
fishing, cabiny stuff.
The antiquer in your life.
He suggested that you take a hair dryer, turn it on hot, and heat up the lure and scrub it with a dry toothbrush, which we did. And it did seem to come clear. It got a little bit of a luster, a little shine.
Look good.
But I think the mistake, Bjorn, was putting that thing back into the moldy tackle box.
Back into the cheese factory.
Because when I dug it out here, several months after that, it was just as moldy as it was. If not even a little more so. So I
fully croissant.
I kind of went, of course, online and YouTube and tried to find out what other people did to get mold off. So I started doing all kinds of things with this lure.
Tell us about it here, Fud. What were the steps?
Well, first, somebody recommended dishwashing soap. So I did that, scrubbed it.
Lathered it up.
Gently. And, that cleaned it up a little bit.
Sure.
But, of course, after that, it still smelled. And then I got the idea, well, there's nothing like the sun and the ultraviolet rays to kind of...
You bet.
Get rid of that kind of stuff. So I let it take a suntan out for a couple of days in the sun on my deck out here. And it seemed to help.
Kind of helped, too, right?
Yeah. The next step, the idea I had was, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to boil it. So
boil it.
I stuck it in a pan of boiling water, went up and took a shower while it was on a low boil, and my wife was around so she could, prevent any disasters.
Keep an eye on the lure.
Yeah. But I came back and, it looked like it was a little bloated.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it looked, I thought, oh, geez, well, I took that out.
Big frog.
Yeah, it looked a little fleshy. And I tried to tell myself that, well, it looks a little more... Yeah, it looks a little overfed and fleshy. Maybe it's more succulent. So I let it sit in the sun some more. And then I realized, boy, I wasn't giving up on this. In fact, let me interject just right here that I bought a 3-lure set, an Arbogast 3-lure set for Bjorn's birthday.
You're here.
And it came to a grand total of $9.
There you go.
And... Here I am putting all this effort into that, but it's a vintage lure, and I thought, well, what the heck? I'm gonna go for it. So the last step, which I think was what helped it the most, was I found I had all these old packets of silica gel, and I emptied them out and put them in a little tiny plastic cup, enough to completely cover the lure.
The jitterbug.
And then I put it in a Ziploc bag and let it sit for a couple of days, and yeah, that seemed to, between all those things, still had a little bloated look, but it was fine. And I took it up and cast it out, and after about 3 or 4 casts of pulling up nothing but weeds, I put it away.
Well, we learned something very valuable with that whole excursion of yours, Fud, and that is that you can clean it up, get it even a little larger than life, and at the end of the day, bass just don't like the taste of bleach and silica gel.
Well, I guess so.
They've read the labels on those silica gel packs. Do not eat, and the bass followed that to a T. So
yes, I guess that,
sad but true. The weeds ignored it. But
right, and it was weedy. No matter what we threw in, even some of our more weedless, quote unquote, lures would still pick up the
almost be
weeds.
Interesting. You know, Steve O'Hearn was talking about the good old days of prime time, and the fish will almost bite on cigarette butts if you put them on a hook and throw them out. Try a silica gel packet and see what happens. It says do not eat. The son of a gun took it. All right, here we go. Reel it in.
What do you know?
3-pounder. And his mouth is dry.
Yeah,
look at the dry lips on that poor.
Can catch and preserve the fish in one fell swoop.
One fell swoop.
But
mounting ready.
We visited the Donovans during their Bassmaster Classic, and we didn't go up specifically to engage heavy-handedly in the tournament.
Cover the tournament, right? That was last year. And this
we
year
did take the tracker though,
serendipitous,
and found Doug way down on the Crow Wing River.
You bet.
And something that in the old days would have taken like all day just to get down with a 5-horsepower motor and a 16-foot Seamaid, but now with the new tracker and its bigger motor,
115.
So yes, 115. So we enjoyed that.
No time at all.
After not catching anything, we decided, well, let's just go touring.
Let's cruise the river at high speed and see what it looks like. Good stuff.
Coming up in just a moment, Bjorn takes to the field and has a conversation with Square Deal Al, who shares his expertise on road food, microbreweries, and disc golf in cabin country.
Big meat.
Big meat.
Big potato.
Big potato.
Big tornado.
Tornado.
Good for what ails you.
Hi.
This week and this week only, a twofer tornado offer at Fiber Stub.
Big meat.
2 big meat potato tornadoes.
Tornado.
Hot off the roller grill for only $2.99 with a regular-sized fountain drink at your participating local Fiber Stop stations. Get them while they're hot. Fiber Stub for all your gas and digestion needs.
Big meat.
Big meat.
Big potato.
Potato.
Big tornado.
Tornado.
Good for what ails you.
Hi.
This is a test of the Cabin Country Broadcast System. The broadcasters of your area, in voluntary cooperation with the fishing, hunting, and cabin construction authorities, have developed this system to keep you informed in the event of an outdoors emergency. If this had been an actual emergency, an early start to the smelt run on the Knife River, record numbers of pheasant flushes near French Lake, or a sail on the triple-glazed windows and pine paneling at Cross Lake Lumber, the attention signal you just heard would have been followed by official information, news, or instructions. This station, WCCN, serves the greater Cabin Country area. This concludes the test of the Cabin Country Broadcast System.
And now back to Bjorn Lloydstead and Fud Klugman in Cabin Country. Well, Fud, I was just thinking about the fact that the trip or trips every year, and we've covered this in past cabin countries, especially when we were young men, under the age of, say, 15.
Right.
Any time spent in the car, regardless of what you'd eaten before you left, what you'd had to drink before you left, as a young person, something about the car moving on the freeway or the highway, country roads, all of a sudden, what are those words that come to mind? I'm hungry. or I'm thirsty.
Yes.
This is ridiculous. And often as not, in our case, I could... Well, that's a lie. I was going to say I could con my dad into thinking he's hungry too, but usually he was one of those guys that just sit still and hurry up, we're going to get there, I don't know if you had any more luck, Fud, than I did as a kid.
No, it was pretty much the same.
We'll get a burger and then sit still and be quiet. Well, we always think those thoughts as, we're heading up Highway 10 or whatever, and all of a sudden the hollow spot starts to make itself known, and we think, here we are, and early phases of cabin country. We're entering in. What is there? What can we stop to get? There's got to be something to eat, something to drink. It seems to be kind of part and parcel with trips in the car with the family headed to cabin country or friends headed to cabin country. And the irony here is, Fud, last year, this is a piece I did. This was the Bjorn Lloydstad inaugural launch into interviews in the field.
Uh-huh.
You were kind enough to hand off something Don had handed over to you, so a handheld digital recorder, and I thought, by gad, let's take it out in the field and talk to some of those people I know through places of work or friendship groups. What are their experiences with road food? And, a good friend and colleague through my career will be referred to solely as Square Deal Al. And Square Deal Al is a guy, he and his lovely wife love to do camping trips all around cabin country, north, south, east, west. They're interested in seeing the greater Minnesota areas. And Square Deal Al is a self-professed king of road food.
Uh-huh.
King of road food. And on top of that, he's also a connoisseur of cabin country's microbrew houses, the microbreweries that are popping up all over the place, almost like chicory plants on the side of the highway. And so if our listeners will humor me here, you're going to get an opportunity now to hear my first field interview with a digital recorder, sitting down with Square Deal Al, who's going to tell us about some of his favorite road food offerings, as well as not just a couple of his cabin country favorite microbreweries, but also as an avid disc golfer, he's going to share a couple thoughts on one of his favorite pastimes, disc golf in cabin country. So if
Fantastic.
Fud, and if we can give Don the nod here, maybe he can sync up my inaugural flight as a in-the-field interviewer. Here for your listening entertainment is words of wisdom from Square Deal Al. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new segment here on Cabin Country Podcast. I am Bjorn Lloydstad, as always, and I'm joined tonight by the Square Deal. Square Deal Al is going to be doing a short segment for us, Road Food with the Square Deal. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well.
Glad to have you. We're going to start things off a little bit. You and I go back a ways with some soccer coaching at the middle school level, a little off. But we talked at one point, you're a man who enjoys the great outdoors, the camping, cabin country audience can understand, a love for camping in state parks. You at one point, you and your lovely bride, a camping trip to remind me of the park.
Minneopa
State Park. And a new measure, a unit of measure was created on this trip, the Minneopa. Could
Yes.
you give us a little insight, Square Deal, as to the Minneopa?
Well, we share a love of many things, and the one thing we share a love of is sinking a few missiles.
The hot dog.
It's a meal in itself.
What could be finer? And so, on that trip, a Minneopa was formed. How many dogs are we talking here, Square Deal? What is a Minneopa?
Well, in reality, I had a third of a Minneopa that weekend. I got a little big for my britches and told you, I think beforehand, you asked me...
How many hot dogs are you going to sink to this weekend, Square Deal? And you said?
I'm gonna throw down about 9 hot dogs.
Good for 9 dogs. 9 dogs. And that became the standard unit of measure. The Minneopa
Yes.
is 9 of anything.
Yeah.
Ideally,
While camping.
while camping. At home, all bets are off.
I mean, you could have 5 Minneopas of potato chips.
Absolutely.
In the sitting.
Absolutely.
Easily.
A Minneopa of Skittles.
Yes.
Not unheard of.
Yeah.
A Minneopa of s'mores might be a bit
Yeah.
much. You're looking for an insulin injection. Well, you've done a fair bit of camping and traveling, Square Deal. And a state park other than Minneopa, where might we find you and your lovely bride on the road?
I've had probably 4 or 5 that we really enjoy, but the go-to lately, and as we get a little older, we don't set up the old tent as often as we used to. But
Hard on the back.
our go-to state park is Cicada State Park down
Cicada.
in Waterville, Minnesota.
Waterville, Minnesota. What's the draw at Cicada? What do you like?
Well, the draw for me is living in the southern suburbs of the Twin Cities.
Yes.
We like to go away from traffic and go.
There we go.
So we're not traveling north on those summer days. When people
Absolutely.
like to drive north, through Rogers and St. Michael, we are kind of done with that.
Headed south. So where exactly is Cicada? You said Waterville.
Waterville, yes.
And is it a camper cabin kind of thing that draws you? Is it a
We are not glampers.
Okay.
We set up the old tent. We do go air mattress at least. So
I see.
We're not bones on the ground.
No, that's hard. That's hard. I had that happen once because our young son accidentally pulled out the rubber stopper for the air mattress, and we woke up.
So they do accommodate,
Spine
obviously.
to soil. You
they
bet.
accommodate
Okay.
for those, but
Okay.
we like just a solid distance, and like I said, it's near enough places to
Right.
pick up some old food, which
Absolutely.
might be a nice little segue.
And so here we go. And, we're not taking any payola, if you will,
Yep.
from any of the local convenience stores or mom and pop shops along the road. But square deal, when you pull into a spot, maybe it's a Casey's, maybe it's a Quick Trip, maybe it's a Speedway, whatever it is, what grabs your eye? What are you looking for in road food?
Well, each convenience area does have a specialty in my eyes, but
Absolutely.
I'm if I'm gonna feature one,
Yep.
I was gonna say one item, but one gas station lately. Well, let's start up with the old Holiday.
Why not?
Is it a superstore? What do they call it? Holiday
Sure, why not?
Superstore? No, I don't. Anyway,
Did they swap out to Speedway? Is that? I
nope,
didn't
that
know.
was Super America.
I see.
So-
Okay, all right.
The Holiday store, the go-to, and this is a combo. This
Combo
is not,
platter.
It's
Here
all
we
about
are.
the combo.
Yep.
And I believe for roughly $6, you can
Six-
throw down
6 bones.
the chicken and cheddar. What do you call it? A log, basically a roller.
A roller grill.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
affair.
But this is just the straight up breaded chicken
Sure.
with cheddar
Yep.
on the inside, which they don't really carry a buffalo chicken, which I would usually go for at most
strong
convenience
offering,
stores.
right.
So I like to go with one of those, and then I like the torpedo, the pepperoni pizza. Torpedo.
Absolutely.
Or one of those.
Torpedo,
so I got those
tornado.
two, or
I've
tornado.
seen
There we
those.
go.
Tornado, yes.
Yes, the,
Fine Corinthian leather.
Pepperoni pizza tornado. So those two are kind of the mains, and then I like a little kicker. I like the side of any variety of Doritos.
Okay.
Yesterday I
All
pulled
right.
off a salsa verde
Oh my.
Dorito with
Green
that.
sauce.
So,
that's
and
got to
then-
be new. I haven't seen that. That's
And then
interesting.
I like to wash it down with your cheap old Arizona.
The libation,
Arnie Palmer.
an Arizona
Yeah.
tea, Arnie Palmer,
Yeah.
little lemonade, little tea. That's not bad. So
99
that is our
cents, yes.
that's our go-to
Smoothly
and
delicious.
for this week. And there may be yet more insights to the cabin country traveler who's headed north, who's headed west, who's headed south, who's headed east. It doesn't matter where you're
You
going.
can find a Holiday Station store. There we go.
Amen.
Holiday Station
There it
store.
is. There it is.
At most major highways.
I feel like we start heading south or even east, we start to see more of the quick trip kind
Yes,
of thing.
it's based out of lacrosse. So.
I believe so. Right.
Yeah, and,
right. And they do well. I
But
like.
if I'm going Cicada, it's straight up Casey's General right in town.
There we go. I
So-
understand now. A fellow colleague across the hall talked up the Casey's breakfast pizza as
yes.
a road offering.
That has been done.
All right. All right.
I'm not going to go full on rankings today of
Sure,
all my favorite
sure.
breakfast pizzas, but
Absolutely.
that is on the list.
So this time around with the square deal, we might be headed to Cicada State Park, and there's probably a pepperoni tornado, or yes, even a chicken and cheese?
Cheddar.
Chicken and cheddar sort of roller grill offering. Straight up the protein-packed fun, and a little cheese in the center just to keep it honest.
Keep it moist.
Keep it moist. So moist. And then, of course, the Arnie Palmer straight from your Arizona can. Now, you are sort of the aficionado of the microbreweries. You're a home brewer in training, perhaps.
Nope.
Not quite yet.
Just
Steve,
the sampler. I got the bunch of friends who do that.
Happy to be the sampler.
I'm more of quality control.
Taste tester, quality control. But you are a man who enjoys a tour across the state to visit the many microbrews.
For sure.
If you were to pick 2 today, square deal, and maybe one is near Cicada.
Yeah.
Maybe one's near Cicada. Maybe you're headed west. Maybe you're going north. What's grabbing your attention on this, the 24th of September, 2019?
Well, let's head up north, up 169.
Fair enough, sir. Fair enough.
And we'll make a quick stop in Anoka before we actually
Anoka,
make
Minnesota.
up make our trek up to Garrison, Minnesota, or
Home of the
somewhere,
tornadoes.
or somewhere
Absolutely.
up there. But
Here.
we're gonna go to 10K Brewing, which
10K
is in
Brewing.
the lovely downtown Anoka.
Anoka. It's got some
Yep.
quaintness to it. I'm led
sure.
to believe. Absolutely.
And we're gonna kick it off today with a cold pressed Lunar, which is a sweet stout, sweet coffee
stout, a little coffee in there, some caffeine,
Yes.
keep you alert to
Yes.
some extent.
Yes,
Okay.
a beautiful beer.
Smoothly delicious.
You've had
beer.
this. You've enjoyed it. It's
Yep.
right there for you. And then another offering might be.
Well, let's go the wrong direction.
Wrong direction.
Let's even get past our state. We'll go down to Decorah, Iowa.
Decorah,
Home
Iowa,
of
the
which,
mighty Luther Norse,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. I've toured it a couple times now.
yes, and
Yes.
the well-known Toppling Goliath Brewery.
Okay, Toppling Goliath. Wow.
Yeah, so I thought I'd offer one option for all those hopheads out there.
Indeed. A paler, drier.
Yes, a nice double IPA and the Super Sumo.
Super.
And right now, I know you really want to just start slapping your belly.
I'm feeling Kamala the Ugandan Giant
Yeah.
come out of left field here,
Yeah.
but I'll hold it in check.
So, yes.
Tell us about the Super Sumo Ale. It's just a hoppy.
It's very hop forward, but it's very drinkable. I believe, if I remember right, it's a little hazy, but it's not quite as citrusy as maybe some of those super hazy
All right.
New England IPAs out there.
Decorah, Iowa, and Anoka, Minnesota. And one last, I'm just going to throw this at you because a horrible pun. You are the premier Frisbee golfer
Yes.
here in this neck of the woods. A favorite outstate Frisbee golf course?
Ooh. You caught me on this one.
I'm sorry.
My
I
names
like
are
to throw a curveball
No,
when I can.
the names out there, but I believe it's in Annandale.
Annandale, Anandale.
So you
Yes.
you head up Highway 55.
You bet.
And
Lloyd B. Olson
you know what?
Memorial
And
Highway.
you know what? Well, as I'm working on the fly right here, you could stop at Spilled Grain Brewery
Okay.
in Annandale as
Annandale.
well.
Who knew?
So
Square deal.
that would
That's
be right on your way to Pleasant Lake.
Pleasant
Disc
Lake.
Golf Course.
Disco.
Yes.
Is that a 9-hole, I'm
That
guessing?
would be an 18-hole affair, if I remember
18-hole.
correctly.
Holy smokes.
So, or baskets, at least. they
Baskets,
name.
yes, indeed.
Yes,
18
I like
baskets.
that. Keep me on my toes, but
I love it. I love it. All right, well, a fantastic inaugural edition of Road Food with Square Deal. And it's not just road
Yeah.
food. There's a lot of cabin country fans out there who are purveyors of the fine brewed malt beverages.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a professional on staff who can add that inside track. And also, what goes better with a cold frosty than throwing a few discs?
Yeah,
So,
well, whether it's a disc golf course or a beverage or
You're here.
or a snack, I hope to have brought you
I
a
believe-
square deal.
there it is. The Square Deal. Thank you very much. And hopefully you'll see more of this and hear more of this next time on the Cabin Country.
Stay square, friends.
Where are the Twinkies? What's on sale?
Well, Fud, that was good to hear from Square Deal. It had been a year, and things get flying, and we kind of lose things in the shuffle every now and again. But we wanted to make sure we got the connoisseur Square Deal's take on round one of road food, and round one for me of using the handheld digital out in the field. And sound quality may have suffered just a tad, but it sounded okay. And
I could hear what you were saying. That was good.
yeah. And Al, of course, chimed in with some great information. And kind of interestingly enough, Fud, you and I, on our traditional trips up to the first time or the fall trip up or any of these types of things, we have our usual plan. We'll get in the car and get rolling, and then we wait with the grocery stock in until we get a little closer to the Gull River.
Right.
And we've, over the years, kind of developed kind of a tradition. We've got a couple spots that are good-sized grocery sellers, in Brainerd or even Big Lake if we're feeling like we're a little behind time. Maybe get that done and we're losing light or whatever. But this June, with an early launch time, and we thought we'd try something a little different, and we stopped in for groceries in Randall, Minnesota.
That's right, which is just off 10, and just before we turn off onto Highway 1, I believe it is.
It's the scenic route.
The scenic route. Yes, when you pass Little Falls, you pass through Little Falls, Minnesota, land of Lindbergh.
That's correct, Charles Lindbergh Interpretive Center.
Then you come up to a junction or a highway division. You can either go straight on 371 toward Brainerd, and you'll be there in about 25 minutes, or you can stay on Highway 10, and then you get to the town of Randall, and that's kind of to me, I think of that as that sort of proverbial gateway to the Northwoods.
Jumping off point for
Yeah.
scenic byways.
It's kind of a winding
country highways.
Winding country road of woods and farmland, and you see deer stands all over the place.
Wetlands, there's
a few small lakes.
Absolutely.
Turn-offs toward a few resorts
in the fall,
here and
it's
there.
outstanding.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it's beautiful. I mean,
right.
usually, if you're in a hurry, you kind of stay on 371, which isn't a bad vista either. It's straight shot. And you do save about 10 minutes by going straight on 371.
My dad would have loved it. Yeah.
But if you just kind of want to, take sort of
See
a
the back
lonelier,
country.
winding road. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very nice. But so right there in Randall, for several years now, they've had a sizable grocery store.
Right.
It's called Boone's now, if I'm not
Boone's
mistaken.
Market,
right?
I believe, yes. Tip of the cap to Boone's. They kitted us out well for the weekend. Lots of good things to eat and drink obtained there at Boone's Market. And with having just heard from Square Deal and his love for disc golf, the kind of crazy thing, we were in their parking lot there at Boone's Market, and right across kind of a little service road, a park in Randall, a bingo park.
Bingo.
And it featured I don't know if it was 9 or 18 holes, but a frisbee golf course right there. I mean, right across the parking lot.
Ah, cool.
From Boone's Market. So I'm
There you
going to have to give Al the heads up on that one. Head up towards Randall, and some beautiful driving on Highway 1, but you could play at least 9 or possibly 18 holes of disc golf right there in Randall.
What do you call that in frisbee golf? It's not holes. It'd be 18 chain nets, whatever.
Well, I've talked with Al about that, and he says, "Oh no, we call them holes."
Oh, okay.
It's holes. In fact, you can get a clubs and golf ball golfer or a frisbee golfer, a disc golfer, very upset by referring to one or the other as, well, the real game. And I've watched this occur at work. Where
Oh, really?
Well, it's not frisbee golf. I'm playing real golf here. Oh, wait a minute now. And the hackles raise up a little bit, and both camps like to say, well, let's not sell each other short here. I like your game, but I play frisbee golf. I like your game. It's nice. It looks like a good walk, but I got to have my bag and my cursory foul language as I drive a golf ball
right
30 yards into the rough or into a swamp or something crazy like that. I for one, and I know I'll speak for you here as well, Fud, I'm not committed to either. So it doesn't really matter.
I was going to suggest that maybe we're in that category of golf, either frisbee or club, as being a good walk spoiled.
Yes.
But
yes,
we used to. We
did.
We have friends. In fact, Buck Fielding.
Yeah. Oh, we've loved to swing the sticks. And
went with him and another avid fisher guy, Dan. He was also a
couple of rounds with Ross as well. And
right.
let's not kid ourselves. There was some very colorful language.
Oh, yes.
As we intermittent golfers at best showed our skills or lack thereof by driving into oak trees. Or
I think when I became a dad and was mostly the stay-at-home dad, the idea of spending 3 hours out, well, for some people, I suppose it'd be a great escape.
Yeah, I was going to say, Fud, now hold on.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
Right.
I just couldn't get clearance to do it because there was a lot going on.
I think for me, it's like, wait a minute, I've got 3 hours of a break. I don't want to spend it golfing. But,
right.
I should say that it was fun hanging out with
we enjoyed it.
Buck Fielding and the others. We're frisbee golf. I've done it a couple of times. But if you like it, you can find it at Bingo Park in Randall,
Minnesota, right across.
Stop for some frisbee
Market.
golf and then stock up.
Get your cooler loaded and head to the campground.
And then hit that Highway 1, winding around. up till you get to Pillager, and then get back, then get on the Highway 210, and then we're just 5 miles from the entrance to West Gull Lake Road.
There you go. And not to sell Pillager short here either. I love coming into Pillager on 1 there and crossing the Crow Wing River.
Yeah.
And it's such a nice scenic kind of thing. And then Fud, you were telling me too there was a tale from Fud's past with your dad and the brothers. There is a train track that goes right through town.
Yes.
And tell us a little more about that.
At Randall, when you
oh, this is at Randall now. This
right.
Is okay. All right.
You turn off at Highway 10 and in Randall, and there's a railroad tracks that you cross. And my first hunting trip with my dad, which referred to in our hunting episode way
Correct.
back when.
Yes.
And it was just my dad and I, and it was after dark. It's October, so the sun goes down
Brisk.
fairly quickly. And
the heater on
cool.
in the car, you bet.
And all the way up, you're kind of riding alongside the railroad track for quite a ways up, starting with like
following
Elk,
Highway 10, absolutely.
Yeah, Elk River. Anyways, we'd seen that, and my dad said, "Oh yeah, we'll pass it,
pass that train,
no problem." But by the time we got to Randall, it was coming, and it was dark, and we could see the light, the big 3 lights of the engine.
Yeah.
And this was a time when they didn't have the arms that blocked the road. It was just the stop sign that would kind of turn.
Yeah, all right.
And the ding, 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 the real bells, not the recorded
yeah.
thing. And but my dad went for it. I mean,
boy.
we could see it, and oh my God, are we going to make it? And he gunned it across. But I mean, the thing was not far away. Well, I'll just say that we were both like, oh my God. My dad was kind of cursing himself that, all right, that was a little too close. We probably shouldn't have. So that was thrilling. That was thrilling.
Well, I know I've heard, Fud, from people, we're both railroad fans,
yes.
railroad buffs. Mm-hmm. You're even a model railroader yourself.
A little bit, yes.
Talking to people, I've taught kids whose parents work in railroad industry and all that stuff where they're talking about railroad crossings. Mm-hmm. If a train is at speed, it takes a train, I think, upwards of half a mile just to stop.
Oh, man, yeah.
And, that accounts for so many of those. So your dad kind of flipped the coin of luck and said, we're just going to do this. And
yeah.
Thankfully, you're here to help host the show.
Right. Yes. Well, I suppose there's that, you've got that fight between, we're going to have to wait here for a good 5 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
My dad's a lot more laid back now. He's like,
enjoy the train.
Just
watch
take your
it,
time.
enjoy it.
Exactly. We like it anyways.
The whistle.
The sound of it, and in fact, of course, it was the Donovan Bassmaster Classic last year when we covered that in our episode that we referred to that line that crosses the Gull River on 210.
You bet.
And that's why I've always had that great association with the sound of the train whistle or horn.
Oh man, from your dad's place there, your place there on the Gull, boy, to hear that, it's just far enough away that it's kind of haunting.
Yeah.
Melancholy.
Doesn't make the cabin shake like it did the shack there on the point.
Yeah, the shack, they're feeling it. But
Stone's
we just hear it, and it sounds like so many Red Sovine songs or something.
Yeah.
So many Johnny Cash ballads. I don't know.
You were mentioning the Pillager then, so after you take Highway 1 for 25 minutes or so. And
sure.
I don't know what it is. It's 18 miles or so. Then you get into Pillager, and you have to slow way down to 30.
Yep.
And then you cross that bridge, cross the Crow Wing River, and I did mention this as well, that back in the day, in the 1970s, it was like an iron cross bridge or something, but it was in rough shape. I say iron, but I remember it was kind of a rickety thing.
Okay.
Wooden or something, but crossing that river has always been part of we're here. We've made it to cabin country.
We got to cross the bridge.
Yes.
In one piece.
We're safe. We passed the train. We didn't get hit by the train.
Yeah.
And we've passed the bridge over the Crow Wing, and now we jump on 210 back into find our cabin. So
let's go shoot some fowl.
Right. But yes, a good road trip. Well,
thinking of waterfowl, thinking of deer in the autumn, makes me start to think of it. Schmidt Scenic.
The Schmidt Scenic. It's been a long time.
It has.
Since we've done.
We're long overdue, ladies and gentlemen. If you'll stay with us just a little bit longer, we've got yet one more walk down memory lane with Fud and Bjorn and the Schmidt Scenic Collection.
Right after this.
Attention outdoor and active types in cabin country. We proudly present CC30, the cabin country workout brought to you by the Cabin Country Podcast in cooperation with Timberwolf Gyms. C90, C60. With the Cabin Country workout, you'll only need 30 minutes.
Let's go!
Start your workout by limbering up your back with the CC30 fishing boat bailout. All of our Timberwolf gyms boast your choice of 12, 16, or 18-foot fishing boats, each holding a full 3 days worth of rain. Your choice of coffee can or modified plastic milk jug bailing device. Empty that craft and move on.
Squat poles? Who does that anymore? Timberwolf gyms offer you the outboard start. Choose from a lineup of 5, 9, 25, and 40 horse vintage outboards, all of which await your best efforts to get them started. Some are flooded, others are just plain old. Pull with everything you've got. Once you've got that up and running,
It's the Chainsaw Challenge. You've heard of lat flies? Here's the big daddy of lat flies. Similar to the outboard start, but with a different stance and angle to really work those triceps, lats, back, and neck muscles. If the chainsaws are all in use, you'll get a similar workout with the Cabin Country Old Lawn Mower Pull. You'll pull until your arms ache and never get these saws or mowers started. Aggressive, intense, and some say almost impossible.
and if it's straight up core, upper body, and arm strength training you're looking for, head out behind each of our Timberwolf gyms and choose your axe or maul. It's stuff clearing or log splitting time. You're not done until you've stacked one full cord. This is the workout where the tires hit the pavement or the boots hit the trail. The CC30 workout. The toughest workout you'll ever love.
We're glad to see you're still with us. Let's get back to Bjorn and Fud in cabin country. Something we haven't visited for quite a while here on Cabin Country. And I think we've been asked by a few of those hundreds of thousands of callers.
That's right.
Who've called in, Don.
Well,
And it's been good to get those to us. And they've said, what about the Schmidt Scenics? Where are you at? It's been a while. How about a Schmidt Scenic Collection edition? The launch of the boat and the cabin is open edition of the Schmidt Scenic Collection. So I think one thing we've got to do here, Fudd, is dig deep into the collection. And
Indeed.
As the captain of a newly launched vessel, I think it is your draw here, sir. Grab one,
my
fish
turn to-
around in the collection of mighty
Grab the cans.
Schmidt cans of the,
Here I am, I'm juggling them.
not mistaking the fine artwork of Les Kuba.
Yes, indeed.
What does Fudd come up with on
I
this?
thought we had been through most of them, but
Lo and
there's
behold.
still quite a bit.
There's still plenty.
What have we? Okay, all right. I'm closing my eyes here.
There it is.
Drawing the.
And it's
It's the doe and two fawns looking down the river and seeing a riverboat.
a riverboat. Proud riverboat coming up the Mississippi, coming up the Minnesota.
You know, I'm wondering. Can you look up there? That's not.
Let me have a look.
Supposed to be Fort Snelling, is it up there?
That might be Fort Snelling. I think it is.
It's reminding me of the other old paintings of Mendota, Minnesota,
Right.
where the fort is up top there, and there's always a riverboat going by.
And in the distance, the steadily growing capital
Oh,
of St. Paul, Minnesota.
hey.
Or at least that's the artistic license we're going to run with tonight, Fudd.
Oh,
It sure
okay.
looks like it. That to me looks like the juncture of the two rivers, the headwaters. No, not headwaters.
Oh, yes.
Somebody,
Well,
give me a cup of coffee.
Of the Minnesota River.
Well, the Minnesota joining the Mississippi.
Right.
Right there at the fort, in the background, the burgeoning city under the watchful gaze of Fort Snelling, and the proud old days of the paddle wheel steamboat coming up the river. The couple of deer, a deer and two fawns, watching it all happen. Do you have a past history with
Well,
Steamboat Minnesota, Fudd?
no, I mean, I've been on some of the remodeled or newer makes of steamboats.
The rebuilds.
On the St. Croix. In a past life, I put my video cinematography toward wedding videography for a while. And
Oh yes.
there were many a trip on one of those paddle boats.
Right.
and guests coming in and grabbing a beer. I don't know if they were Schmidt, but with the history of the area, it's Mendota, Minnesota, which is actually based on the word Bedote, which is the conjunction of the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers, and
right.
It's an important spot to the Dakota people, and of course that's where they built the Fort Snelling military
Installation.
lookout there, the fort.
Correct.
And so there's a lot of history. But Les Cuba, he was from Hutchinson, Minnesota,
I did not know that.
and he designed a sculpture of Chief Little Crow.
How about that?
Who was a very important figure during the Dakota War in 1862. Little Crow led that.
Right.
Led his warriors on that. And it's a complicated history. I've been involved with it for many years now. But we'll just keep it on the Les Cuba interpretation of things. There's a newer sculpture of Little Crow in downtown Hutchinson.
Okay.
It's kind of overlooking. He's kind of got his eyes, or his hand shading his eyes as he looks out across the Minnesota River in that part. So that's kind of the connection there. Artist Les Cuba, born in Hutchinson, Minnesota, which was the place where Little Crow was eventually killed, like a year after the outbreak. So, there's a lot. I guess there's a lot on this can. Holy cows! We could devote a whole series just on
Entire history
the
lesson.
meaning of that. The old river boats, and I'm even told to weave in a little bit more history, and of course with river boats, is that Henry David Thoreau himself,
Oh my.
when he took a trip out here to
Walden Pond.
yes, the well-known author of Walden, he took a trip and was on a riverboat himself on the Mississippi River and passed through St. Paul.
Sure.
And I think was even told about Little Crow as being one of the prominent chiefs at the time. And I think he even overheard a speech Little Crow had made, according to my historian friend Mark. He said that he was impressed with Little Crow's ability to speak. That was one of the things this chief was known for, his eloquent way of speaking. And
Orator.
So,
Yes.
great orator. So, we've got Henry David Thoreau visiting from out east, and maybe he's on this riverboat here that the deer are looking at.
You never know. Or perhaps the riverboat is resplendent with sixth graders on a field trip.
That's right.
I recall a couple of trips on similar paddle boats. I know, Don will field any of the incoming complaint calls and or possible lawsuits, but being on both the Jonathan Paddleford at one point and the Josiah Snelling on a different trip, and two field trips, and going upriver, downriver on both, and asking teachers, is this really a steamboat, a paddle boat? I mean, look in the back. You see the paddle wheel turn? Yeah. I think I see some propellers down there, too. No, you don't. Okay. And multiple schools. I remember one trip well, Fud, because I was standing there on the rail watching the big paddle wheel turn, and there were several schools, and all of a sudden the top of my head got really wet. And I was like, what the heck just happened? That's a goob. Somebody spit on my head. And looking up top and on the second rail, a bunch of young louts from a different elementary school laughing and pointing and I'm gonna run up there right now, and all my friends going, and one of the teachers saying, we won't have any brawling on the Josiah Snelling today. Kid spit on my head. I just enjoy the view. I got a wet head. Interesting times. And let's not forget, too, a good many of the local area high schools love to have their spring dances on these paddle boats.
Yes.
I recall someone, my lovely wife, who was on one of these during a high water time, not unlike this year, where the rivers were incredibly high because of all the snow and the snow melt and the rainy spring. It was a year similar to that, and it was the year of her senior prom. And they got on this paddle boat and it was sort of out of control. It couldn't handle the water, and they ended up just kind of drifting downstream much farther than they hoped to get, and they couldn't actually put to shore until almost some crazy hour of the morning, and kids were like, well, this is great, but give me a break. I kind of want to get off this thing. Just talking about, we got more than our money's worth on that one.
Wow, what an adventure.
Well, whoever's running that company, that, I don't know if the Minnesota Packet Boat Company or who they are, but they've got those two rebuilds. the Paddleford and the Snelling. They're well done, and they're fun to be on. It's a great view from the river, and interesting to see that particular spot. The fort overlooking everything. You know exactly why they built where they built. They wanted to control both sides of the river, and at the same time be, kind of a gatekeeper, I guess, to the interactions between white society and First Nation society, and there's a lot that can be said about that from either direction, but an interesting place nonetheless. Not to stray from that, but getting back to Cuba for a second, if I'm not mistaken, he was the winner of a couple of duck stamp competitions throughout the state's history. I think a couple of Les Cuba paintings might have made it onto the waterfowl stamp.
I think so. We're going to have to go to the website or something.
Absolutely.
Find out. I know I looked it up before, but because I do have a Les Cuba. I have two.
You got two Cubas.
Two Cuba paintings.
My goodness.
One is like 4 or 5 bluebills.
A bluebill.
Flying in foreground.
A bluebill.
Another one here is an old hunting shack.
The old shack.
That's kind of
smoke coming out. Well, maybe not. It looks like clouds, actually. Sorry. It looks like it might be abandoned. I don't know.
Well, it's a beautiful watercolor.
It is nice.
And the billowing clouds. It's really nice.
It is nice.
So,
I recall a neighbor of mine who at one point bequeathed to me the multiple fishing tackle boxes that we went through.
Oh, yes.
Steve O'Hearn, and, bequeathed to me a 16-gauge shotgun, a 22 long rifle, the whole bit. He was an avid hunter, fisherman his whole life, and has all the paintings in his house. I think kind of the secondary activity in his life was correcting papers for English teachers. I take that back. Collecting wildlife art, and he and his wife talked at one point about how happy they were that they'd finally gotten, an early run print of a Les Cuba painting. Oh. And they were big fans of the Yellow Labs, and I think it was a combo platter of waterfowl and possibly a yellow lab in the painting. Yeah. And they said, ooh, and it's a Cuba.
Whoa.
As about a 9-year-old, I was like, that sounds funny. It's a Cuba. Cuba. No, really, it's a big deal. And, they have moved on to the great reward, I guess, and Lord knows where all that ended up. But they did have their house was kind of a gallery of what could be, waterfowl stamp paintings.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Very nice stuff. Well, we've talked a lot about deer and
right
fawns and all that good stuff. The mighty, mighty steam paddlers, the riverboat gamblers, the craziness, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Is there much more to add here, Fud? I don't know.
I don't think so. Like I said, it is a can loaded with all kinds of references.
Without a doubt.
And I didn't realize that it was Fort Snelling. I guess if you're going to see a riverboat in Minnesota, it's going to be near Fort Snelling for some reason.
That's right.
All the old paintings I've seen.
Flying the waters near the fort. And I'll say just this can in general, too, for all of those who still fancy themselves somewhat beer can collectors. This is a steel can. There are no 22 holes in it anywhere. It's
in good condition.
Perfectly intact. Although the paint job has faded a little, and I'm not going to lie to you, Fud, this came out of that classic trash dump out in the woods behind the old Daggett Lake cabin.
Right.
It comes from the days when you peeled off a ring tab on the top and threw it somewhere where it usually landed in the sand of a lake shore, and some kid like me running into the lake then sliced open their big toe.
Yikes.
And people decided maybe we need to stop doing that. And then much to the delight of our friend Buck Fielding, they were making sure you knew the level of alcohol in this can. They've printed strong right across the top. And Buck has always found that to be incredibly funny.
Weak.
Is that a 3-2 or is that strong? Oh, it's a strong beer, Buck. So, yes, indeed. A steel can with the pull-off tab, and it is strong. I remember I used to find these Fud out in that dump. And I typical 7-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid, I couldn't help myself. I'd always pick it up and I gotta smell the can. I can still smell beer in there. Oh man, I wonder. Oh, yeah, that's strong. Wow. It might be full of like decomposing cottonwood leaves and mud and maybe a dead worm, but there's still. I can smell it. Oh, that's so cool. Wow. And then packing these up in a bag and bringing them home in the back of the Pinto, and my dad just grumbling and shaking his head. Good.
Why are you
Excellent.
picking up that
Kid's
garbage?
bringing more trash back home to stack up in his room.
Is there any hint of beer odor now in that
Well,
can?
let me give it a whiff here, Fudley. No, I'm smelling an empty can. I shake it. There's not even any renegade dirt in here. It's just a clean slightly
can.
faded can from years of sitting there in the sun, out in the woods atop a pile of rubbish. Lord knows, a little bit of wayward rust on the seam on the back, but yes, indeed, this was a proud one. I remember having these stacked in my room as a kid. My beer can collection kind of followed the wall. It was about 10 cans high, probably 75 wide.
Wow.
And it was classic elementary school kid engineering.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody came in my room looking for anything, it was like a bad,
Right.
comedy sketch. I'd hear somebody like, "Oh, there's a drawer," and every can was over.
Oh, my gosh.
God, here we go again. And not to hammer too hard on the beer can collecting of yesteryear, but some of my friends had these plastic kind of clip things,
Oh,
and it would hold like 50 cans, and you could, screw it into the wall, and you just kind of press these things in, and it would hold it.
oh, really?
Yeah, so it was like a trophy case. And all I could ever think was, yeah, but with those aluminum cans, man, you got to press it in there to dents the sides, and then, the value's gone, and what are you going to do then? Well, I'm curious as to how many people actually made their retirement money off selling their old beer can collection.
I had a very meager collection myself, and I'm trying to even remember if it... I had a couple of paper grocery bags
Yep.
filled with some beer cans, and I don't remember if my mom even allowed me to stack them up anywhere. I think I just had them, and I'm sure I've shared this story of the infamous steel Colt 45 that I found. It was kind of faded on one side pretty badly. My good friend across the street, Rick, he had a pretty good-sized beer can collection.
Sure, he was...
And I brought over this one that I'd found. This was up at the Osakas cabin. Just
Okay.
found it in the ditch up there. And,
Right.
whoa, cool. And I brought it over to him, and he said, "Oh, I've got a nicer looking one of this. If all the paint look really nice. It's really sharp. It's pristine. If you want to trade."
Clean, new, shiny
I
Colt
said, "Whoa."
45.
And then he got it out and he showed me. Oh, okay, that sounds. Oh, okay. Well, sure. Are you sure? Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. You can have this one. I'll take that one. So we traded, and of course, immediately upon trading, he said, "This is steel. They don't make them anymore. It's more valuable. And now you got one that you can find anywhere." Ha ha. And I was just like, "Oh, thanks,
Wow,
Rick,
you're
buddy."
good friend of
Oh
mine.
yeah, it's a couple times that happened in various other stories.
Bamboozled
Yes, I was
by a journeyman.
bamboozled
Wow.
by a beer can collector,
Wow.
10-year-old. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, what was your flagship beer can, Fud? What do you remember? What you had that was just like, this is it. Nobody's taking this one out of my mitts. This is the best can I've got.
Boy, that's a really good question. But the first one that pops into my head that I just thought was the prettiest
Yes.
was the Shell's beer can,
Oh yeah.
which was from New Ulm, Minnesota.
Right.
But it had a real pretty, evening sky. I don't know, just reds and
Paint
blues.
jobs were always amazing on those Shells
Yeah.
cans. Kind of that late 70s, early 80s Shells cans where there was a
I
Shells Bock that had a beautiful painting of a beer keg with a goat in front of it and like leaves and vines and a setting sun. Yeah, the beautiful,
Yeah, the
beautiful
setting sun.
cans.
Yeah, there's something to the deer head on it or something that was shiny. It was just, I know it wasn't a terribly hard
Valuable,
to come by,
right.
but it was one I really liked. I remember little tiny, like Olympia.
Those 7-ounces?
Yeah,
Little
7
Oli.
ounce, Little Oli.
Yeah.
For some reason, I remember that as being like, this is cool. The next to that, I had my big Foster's,
Yes.
which was a.
Yes.
So again, the ones I liked weren't. I didn't really know enough about what was rare. And of course, there was my newer Colt 45. All right, well, we'll leave that one go. But how about yourself? Did you have a couple that were?
Yeah, I had both the aluminum and steel Little Oli. Mm-hmm. I had the aluminum and steel 7-ounce PBR, the Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Oh, yes.
I had a tiny little 7-ounce opened with a church key.
Oh.
You had to open it with an actual can opener.
Wow.
Glick Stite.
Ooh.
which is, again, locally produced, but long gone. And so kind of, ooh, look at that. And then I had some odd ones. I had on the same size as a Foster's Lager, I had something called a KB. It had it was gold, but it was that same giant size.
Yeah.
And then I had something I thought was particularly crafty. It was Robin Hood Cream Ale, and on the cover it was a bearded Robin Hood-like character with a huge grin on his face, hoisting a wooden tankard in front of a big, keg of nut brown ale. I have no idea where it came from. I have no idea if it was worth anything, but it looked cool.
Well, yeah.
And
it's all about the artwork.
Yeah. It's just, and nobody's ever seen this before. This is the coolest thing ever, and oh my god! And I don't want your full card collection of the Minnesota Twins this year for that. Forget it. I'm keeping this beer can. That's just how it is. And yeah, I ended up as an adult, that was no longer interested in drinking or collecting anything beer. I ended up taking these all these cool cans I had and giving them to a friend of mine who is still very much active in beer drinking. Beer paraphernalia, beer lights, you name it. I was like, do you want these? Because otherwise, I think I'm being condemned to recycle them. No, I'll take those. I'll put those in my bar down in the basement. It's amazing, man. I remember these days. And of course, then he and I started talking about, what was your favorite can?
Yeah.
Oh, man. He was from southern Wisconsin, and he had all these cool kind of Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana things. And I was, oh, man. And it's just crazy how people start talking about that particular hobby. And if you were ever a part of it, man, it doesn't take much to kind of get the flames flickering again. Even Buck, talking with Buck about his, oh God, I've actually thought I might start kind of collecting again, and bringing back in some of these crazy old cans. Like, yeah, most of us are married at this point, and most of our significant others are sort of like, or not, probably not. Get those things out of here. Especially the ones I had that were always like, shake it. There's old dirt in here. Maybe something dead. Several exoskeletons. Get that out of the house. But nothing says a mother deer and 2 fawns and a steamboat like beer can collecting. And we've certainly come full circle. But let's not kid ourselves. It's a many splendored can here. We've got the stories of Cuba. We've got the Minnesota history itself, of that convergence of the 2 rivers, and the age-old practice of collecting steel cans, aluminum cans.
That's right.
Mounting them to your wall. It's powerful stuff.
Yes.
Powerful stuff. So I don't know. Perhaps, Fud, that ends this shorter edition of
that sounds good.
The Schmidt can collection. Looks like we've
got
been
a few
guess
more.
Out of our case of 20 of the easy-to-carry 24-can case. We've still got about 6, I think, a 6-pack. We can cover
dozen.
at some point stories from the past and the condition of the can and what does it remind us of. Plenty to work with, so
looking forward to it.
Perhaps that's a good place to stop, Don, if you don't mind being the engineering wizard that you are. We'll take a break with this segment and then get you back to Cabin Country proper.
Sounds good.
All right, fill your coffee, take a moment, and we'll be right back.
Sleep. Perhaps the most important thing in your life. A good night's sleep is more important than just about anything else. White noise and ambient sounds have become calming and soothing sleep producers for many people in our world. Gentle rainfall, sighing winds, the calm hum of a gas furnace. All of these sounds have value in helping you sleep. Why not find your calming ambient sounds in your favorite place, the wondrous outdoors? Drift off to dreamland while listening to the ambient sounds of the Woodland Mystic 2000. The Woodland Mystic generates such soothing sleep sounds as the bedside sleeping Springer, the old TV that has reception problems, the hum of the 5-horse outboard, and your friend, the old yellow chainsaw. Nothing helps you succeed in life like a steady sleep cycle, and nothing results in restful slumber like effective ambient sound. The Woodland Mystic 2000 awaits you. Drift off with it tonight.
One more word, Fud, about
Yes, again,
Cabin Country
we have,
Pod.
we have 10 coffee mugs.
10 coffee
Cabin
mugs.
Country Podcast coffee mugs.
A good-sized mug.
And they last. You can wash them in the dishwasher. They're from
Color
England.
fast.
Just because that's cool. I don't know.
Yes. If I want one of those mugs, Fud, what do I have to do?
Well, you have to
One of the
go
first.
to iTunes and write a review on the Cabin Country Podcast.
There we go.
And then contact us at cabincountrypod@gmail.com and write us a little note saying, hey, I don't know if you've seen it, boys, but I did write a review, so can I have that mug now?
Ideally, I'm one of the first 10. Now, keep in mind, if you're number 11...
Right. Well, it is for sale. Don, what is the price on that? I can't remember. He's
Don.
sleeping. I think he went on a break.
Oh,
At any rate, but yeah, we've got 10 of them that we're going to hand out for free.
we would love to have
Right.
10 additional Cabin Country mugs out there in the hands of people saying, I
Hey.
listen to Cabin Country,
Yes.
and I like hot coffee, tea, post
Yes.
'em, whatever it is you're drinking out of that.
Right.
But
yeah.
it would look good, and if you're one of the
Post 'em.
first 10, by gad, you could have one of those mugs.
Right, right. And I hope we've done that right, so we're not, going to cheat anybody out of one, but...
Potential lawsuit.
Right.
I didn't get my mug, you
I don't know,
stinker.
guys. Cut it out. I changed my mind. I don't like listening to these guys at all. Any rate, well, thanks for hanging with us.
Yes. Kind of a lengthy hodgepodge this week, but a good
Yeah.
show and lots of interesting material. And
Right.
there are more coming.
Yes. we
Get
got more.
ready. We're feeling our oats. It's Cabin Country summer season. We've got a lot to talk about, and we certainly
Yes.
will. But in the meantime,
Have fun yourselves in Cabin
fun
Country.
yourself. Tell us what you're doing out there.
Yeah.
CabinCountryPod@gmail.com, and by all means, refill your coffee mug.
Right?
We're gonna let the cabin door slam shut here. Close out one more
See you
edition
next
of
time.
Cabin Country. See you next time.